Hey guys, what's up? JOC back here again, and it is time to talk about your 1-0 Vikings traveling to Green Bay for Border Battle number 1 2019 edition to knock the Packers back down to 500 where they belong. So let's talk about how the Vikings can beat the Packers, and let's look at some key players in this one. As we look at the Packers, it starts up front with their offensive line. They're known for two of the best offensive tackles in the business because the refs let them hold all the time. But that matches up very good against the Vikings, which have the two best defensive ends, debatably, in the business. So Danielle Hunter, Everson Griffin will have their work cut out for them, going against two of the best on the outside of the offensive line of the Packers. So this will be a tough one for them, and this might be a situation where the Vikings will need to come up with different ways for pass rush. So you'll have to look in the interior. This might be a situation where the Vikings might have to blitz a little bit more than you would like when the two outside, your two best usual pass rushers, get shut down most of the time. You'll have to look out elsewhere. So look for maybe a Hercules Mataafa appearance in this one a little bit more. We'll have to get those third and longs to generate that pass rush so the Vikings can play with them a little bit more. And then when it comes to those situations, getting that pass rush will help neutralize number 2, Davante Adams, who will be matched up on Xavier Rhodes. Unlike Julio Jones, where Rhodes has had a career of beating him, I think Davante Adams versus Rhodes has been very even throughout their tenure playing against each other. They both match up well on each other. Davante Adams' get-off is a little bit better, gets off the press coverage at the line of scrimmage better, and that is Rhodes' forte. So they do match up very good against each other. So this one will be a fun one to watch. And if the Vikings cannot generate the pass rush, I think that's going to allow Adams to win. Because if it's one-on-one coverage, he's very good at winning the jump balls. He's basically a better version of a Dachshund, where he's consistently winning those contested catch balls, those 50-50 balls, and is getting off the line of scrimmage exceptionally well. So this one will be fun to watch, and if the Vikings can contain Adams, the Packers really do not have anyone else. The one player, if I'm Green Bay, that will want to get involved is Jimmy Graham, who's had a career of being one of the best receiving tight ends in the league, but as of late has been very, very underwhelming, and you tend to forget he's even with the Packers. So if they can get him going, because the Falcons had to go to Austin Hooper, the Packers might be saying, well, if all else fails, let's just throw to our tight end 1,000 times. Maybe the Vikings will have to go after him. And especially when the Vikings' best matchup against tight ends is Jaron Kearse, and he'll probably be more of a slot guy on some of those slot receivers. So if they can get Jaron Kearse matched up on an Anthony Barr or even Harrison Smith, who man coverage is not his forte, that might be a matchup to watch in the middle of the field or outside, wherever they want to play Jimmy Graham. So that's one where, if I'm the Vikings, that's one where Davante, first and foremost, get that pass rush, but then Jimmy Graham's going to have to be a guy we look out for. I don't think the other receivers are basically anything for the Packers. They're, I think, worse than the Vikings receiving core last year when it was Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, then nobody's. So I think they have a worse situation in Green Bay, where if it's Davante Adams, then you have to go to Jimmy Graham, who's been basically non-existent in his time in Green Bay. So hopefully the Vikings can figure that out, because it shouldn't be too hard. And then the big story that you've been hearing about the Packers is they're going to run the ball this year. Finally, after all this time, it did not work at all against the Bears, but I don't think a lot of teams will find great running success against the Bears. With Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, it gives them a pretty solid 1-2 punch. But if you stop them, like I said, the receiving core, besides for Davante Adams, does not scare me, and I think the Vikings' run defense is going to be very good again. So winning those first and second downs to force those third and longs, so the Vikings can get after them on the pass rush, the Vikings should have a good day. So Aaron Jones, despite being a big factor for the Packers, is the guy that they really, really, really want to get going, so you can take a little pressure off of Aaron Rodgers and get that play-action game going, get that little bit of separation for Davante Adams and Jimmy Graham to do their thing. But really, Aaron Jones is, as of right now, is just a guy and not very scary at anything he does. I think he is good, But like I said, nothing that's really going to scare me. And I think if the Vikings shut him down like they should be able to, and get those third and longs, it's game over for the Packers. But offensively for the Vikings, I think they match up well. The best part about the Packers' defense as of right now is their secondary, and it's very young and very talented. Starting off with Jaire Alexander, who talked smack about the Vikings last year, then Adam Thielen just absolutely roasted him all game for 100 yards. And Stephon Diggs can destroy their corners back as well. Maybe a Josh Doctson sighting week 2. Because the best two corners for the Packers are very solid. Kevin King and Jaire Alexander both being very young. And then in the back end, their safety's really good. Adrian Amos from the Bears coming through. He had the game-winning interception last week. And then Savage, who's an extremely fast and talented safety, a guy I would not have minded in the draft. Looking very good already for the Packers. Has very good instincts right off the bat. So their secondary is really good. But what is not good is their pass rush. I think getting rid of Mike Daniels was an insane mistake for the Packers because he was their best matchup against the Vikings. A good 3-tech type of a defensive tackle, even though they run the 3-4. Still, that rushing defensive tackle, match him up on Pat Elflein, and it's game over 50% of the time. So, without that pass rush on the interior of their defensive line, their outside linebackers are not that good, and you don't see a whole lot of pressure out from all of them. And, they have decent numbers collectively, but there's definitely not a single guy that's like, all right, make sure you stop this one. And I think the Vikings shouldn't have much of a problem. And so running the ball and having time for Kirk Cousins to pass the ball should not be much of an issue. So this is another game where the Vikings should be able to dominate the run game. Look for another solid game for Dalvin Cook. Adrian Peterson has made a living roasting the Packers, whether it's been with the Vikings or another team. So this should be another one where the running game for the Vikings should be able to carry them, eat up the clock, and not give the Packers a lot of time on offense. Passing the ball will have a little bit of struggle, but I think Diggs and Thielen are still just better than their best two corners. I think Savage and Amos will help a lot, and they might just say, screw it, we'll bracket them both, double coverage on both Diggs and Thielen, and then look for Kyle Rudolph, Josh Doctson maybe, and some of their other guys, Dalvin Cook in the passing game to have big games as well. Maybe a little Irv Smith action in this one to take advantage of the Packers. So I'm sure going to want to try to blitz and pressure Kirk Cousins, force those fumbles, force those turnovers. But at the end of the day, I just think the Vikings are the much better team. And unless the Packers can really pull something out, I think the Vikings have this one. And despite the Lambeau being a great home field advantage, I think the Vikings pull it out, and the Vikings win 26-20 in this border battle. The Vikings jump ahead to 2-0 on the year. Give me your score prediction in the comment section down below, and we'll see you guys in the next Josie Vikings video. Game simulation coming up shortly. See you guys then.